So, for starters, we know that there was a, quote, person of interest who was detained in the middle of the night in Coventry, Rhode Island. And the implication we got from the FBI and others was he was the guy. He was not the guy. He was
Yeah.
released. What's the status of the search for the man we saw walking away in the black outfit and we only saw him from behind?
Yeah. Well, what we know publicly is that it's a restart, and it was a restart after having lost 18 precious, not lost, but in which everyone's focus was on this person of interest. Here's what is known now publicly is there was somehow a understanding that there was a sort of telecommunications hit that they were able to meaning phone that they were able to track to this hotel room, and the behavior of the phone would have been the behavior of someone who was at Brown during that period. And so they then storm this hotel room. The guy expresses his innocence. He's held for a period of time. And over the course of yesterday, as someone who was following this, of course, and on the air and stuff, I just sort of thought this is so strange. We are not even getting a name because normally person of interest doesn't last that long. And by what was it, 11:30 at night, 10:30 at night, an impromptu press conference, they said he was actually being released. And the state and local officials, in a way I've never seen before, made it clear that piece of the investigation had been run and led and executed by the FBI. So when you look back, the pictures of the raid were the FBI. So we have got a division between where the feds thought that this was going and the state and locals need it to go. And you saw sort of a reaffirmation by the locals and the state about who owns this investigation. And now all they've disclosed publicly, there's going to be ballistic evidence, there's going to be a greater search now, they said, is this very unhelpful if you don't know him video. And I think the hope, because it's from the back, and I think
Right.
the hope is someone will understand the gate. But we don't have any, there's been no public disclosure or engagement with a new picture. And I think for most of us, that's the most amazing thing. Universities have lots of video cameras, kids have lots of
Right.
phones, and no one got a visual of him, his race, his ethnicity, his facial hair, any of it.
What do you think this says, though, about the dissonance between federal law enforcement and local law
Yeah,
enforcement? And what do you imagine, or maybe what do you know about sort of like,
yeah.
what was going on behind the scenes? Because there is clearly a huge disparity.
Yeah, I mean, I was hearing, I know a lot of these players, it's a small state, I spent a lot of time here, but also because of campus security and safety that I assist with, not with Brown specifically, it's just a small world. And I had heard of semi rifts from various people I was talking to over the day between the FBI and state and locals, which is just really unfortunate because I think generally it's a very, very cohesive group. The state, local, federal nexus has been really nurtured over the last 20 years, either through the Joint Terrorism Task Forces or what's called the fusion centers. And it's just clear that the FBI sort of went on its own. It's the, part of it, I don't know enough to say it's totally their fault, but I will say the unforced errors of having the FBI director come out and just basically live tweet an investigation. It's very hard to get people to understand the difference between a person of interest and a true suspect
Right.
if the head of the FBI is, honestly just like strutting through social media. And he did it before with the Charlie, and he's always wrong. He did it before with the Charlie Kirk killing and whether they had someone in custody. So it's
Yeah.
just, very unfortunate for the FBI because, many of them are very professional and very serious.
Right. Right.
My kid, my younger daughter actually was in Providence, stayed
Yeah.
overnight in Providence and Saturday night, and she talked about the shelter in place, that sort of thing. If they don't know who this person is, they don't know obviously,
Yeah.
where that person is, why should the shelter in place be lifted?
Because it has to. I mean that honestly. Like everyone wants a science. It's not a science. It's an art. We have too much violence in this country. Too many potentials for lockdown, and so There's, we experienced this with the Boston Marathon bombing.
Of course.
If your standard is, well, when we get the guy, we're going to let everyone free, you've now just tied your hands as a jurisdiction. So I think part of what happened was, they didn't know where students were. They didn't know what was happening. Maybe they thought they had him. Let's get everyone to shelter in place. Also, he had left by foot, so there was, I think, a general concern he might try to get a car, might be violent in trying to get a car. But at some stage on Sunday, whether they had a person of interest or not, you really can't sustain. You shouldn't. Let me put it differently. You shouldn't sustain these things. I believe that's my personal opinion. Longer than 24 hours, unless you have really, really extreme circumstances. So you'll remember that horrible killings in Maine a couple years ago.
At the bowling alley?
Yeah. So the community was locked down for 3 days. They eventually found, I think they found him, he had committed suicide. That's just, that you're just offsetting the trauma, right? I mean, you just keep people fearful for 3
Well, closer to home, Deval Patrick lifted the shelter in
he had
place,
to do it.
a term I'd never heard before Tsarnaev. The younger Tsarnaev was captured
he had
in
to.
Watertown.
He knew it. I mean, you just, because what if Tsarnaev had gotten, was in New York by then? You just can't do it. So it's not perfect, and the gaps in the reasoning are clear to anyone. But I think it's absolutely the right thing to do, and they let the kids go home.